My incredibly arrogant older sister tossed a cheap demolition hammer directly at my feet in the grand foyer of her newly purchased Victorian mansion and coldly sneered, "You are nothing but a high school dropout with a tool belt. Tear down the ruined plaster in the parlor by midnight for free, or I will make sure our parents write you out of the trust and never invite you to another family holiday again." She delivered this deeply calculated, life-altering demand with a predatory, condescending smirk, perfectly playing the part of the undisputed real estate genius who had just secured the family's financial future. She demanded I quietly provide free, backbreaking manual labor to renovate her supposedly prestigious investment property, treating me less like her own blood and entirely like an indentured servant who should be incredibly grateful just to breathe the stale air inside her immaculate new estate. The massive, echoing parlor immediately descended into a suffocating, heavy silence. My parents, who had foolishly liquidated their retirement accounts to co-sign the massive high-interest loans for her reckless real estate venture, simply stared out the stained glass windows, completely refusing to defend their own son. Her inner circle of wealthy parasitic socialites, who had invaded the property to celebrate her brilliance, simply laughed into their champagne glasses, completely participating in my public humiliation. I was the absolute pariah of my own bloodline, the solitary blue-collar worker surrounded by a tight circle of self-appointed social elites who firmly believed my calloused hands equated to a severe lack of intelligence. I felt entirely isolated, drowning in a manufactured social dynamic where my professional dignity was systematically erased. I knew with absolute certainty that if I raised my voice to warn them about the structural rot I smelled in the walls, I would instantly be labeled as an unstable, jealous failure attacking the triumphant golden child. I did not argue with her calculated insult. I simply picked up the heavy demolition hammer, gave her a hollow, obedient nod, and completely disappeared into the suffocating dust of the parlor to begin tearing down the walls. What my sister completely failed to realize, what none of my parasitic family knew, because they were entirely too blinded by their own arrogance to ever ask about my actual career, was that I had not been a standard residential drywaller for over a decade. Over the last 10 years, I had quietly secured elite, highly specialized federal credentials. I became a licensed forensic biohazard auditor and a master environmental abatement specialist, heavily contracted by high-net-worth insurance firms and municipal health departments to condemn severely contaminated properties. I was the invisible scalpel, slicing through the elaborate physical lies of negligent property owners. While my sister was busy bragging at country clubs and skipping legal inspections to win real estate auctions, I had become an absolute master of forensic architectural reconstruction, learning exactly how deeply horrific secrets are buried within the literal bones of Victorian architecture. The trap snapped violently shut the exact moment I swung my heavy sledgehammer into the thick, bulging section of plaster near the parlor's grand fireplace. The brittle wall groaned and violently fractured open, but it was not fiberglass insulation or horsehair that fell from the dark cavity. It was a dense, horrific avalanche of human teeth, hundreds of them, thousands of them. They poured out of the wall in a sickening cascade, clattering violently against the hardwood floor in a bone-chilling wave of rotting enamel and dried roots. The horrifying, deeply psychotic reality instantly clicked in my brain. By rapidly cross-referencing the architectural address with my encrypted municipal biohazard database, I confirmed the terrifying truth. The previous owner from decades ago wasn't just a reclusive eccentric. He was an unlicensed underground butcher, masquerading as a dentist, hiding his gruesome, highly infectious surgical evidence directly inside the walls of the estate. I stepped out of the parlor just as my sister confidently walked in with her elite real estate agent, ready to brag about her brilliant investment. Her arrogant, triumphant smile instantly vanished as her designer shoes stepped onto the crunching sea of human remains. I did not yell. I simply pulled out my secure diagnostic tablet and slid it across the dusty table, displaying the immediate, legally binding federal biohazard condemnation I had just filed using my elite medical abatement credentials. Because she had arrogantly waived all legal property inspections to win the auction, the injunction permanently seized the property as an active biological crime scene, leaving her entirely responsible for millions of dollars in mandatory federal hazmat remediation. All the color instantly drained from her face, leaving her pale, stuttering, and physically shaking as she realized her pristine financial empire had just been entirely eradicated by the high school dropout she had humiliated an hour ago. I did not wait around to listen to her frantic, delusional screaming, nor did I watch her completely shatter as the federal health authorities arrived to lock down the perimeter. I calmly packed up my specialized diagnostic gear, walked out the heavy oak doors without looking back, and left her standing completely alone in the rapidly collapsing, biohazardous ruins of her own arrogant deception. By the end of the week, she was forced into absolute, irrecoverable bankruptcy. Watching her fake elite kingdom crumble into dust under the heavy weight of the absolute truth was incredibly satisfying. But I have to ask you, was I the jerk for triggering a massive federal biohazard raid without giving her any prior warning, or did she completely deserve to lose everything? Drop your verdict in the comments.